on to the next episode. So, we are now we were one day in Puerto Rico. Everybody's waking up the next morning. I'm sure they were all very tired. Oh man, Jasmina and Michael. I'm gonna start it out talking about them. So you guys, I'm watching as I review, so you'll hear me kind of do it in sections. With Jasmina and Michael, I think they're both overthinking. The difference between Jasmina and Michael, though, is that Michael is aware that he's overthinking. Jasmina is not. I believe that Jasmina believes that she understands how relationships work. She understands how marriages work. She understands how things are supposed to go. She believes that she's also super optimistic, which I actually disagree with. I think her and Michael are actually a lot more similar than she's seeing. I also believe that Jasmina is not really, she has to remember that although she's been in relationships, they've been long distance. And when you're in long distance relationships, child, when y'all see each other, y'all be all over each other, super talkative, all this. It's not a day in and day out type of thing that in-house, a marriage is. It's totally different. And so I don't know, like just the way that she was handling it with Michael after their conversation on yesterday, I will say, yes, it would have probably, the only thing that would have annoyed me about what Michael said was him saying that he feels like there's been distance since the wedding night. I would have been like, okay. I mean, it's only been 3 days, right? I probably would have said okay to that, but I'm like one of those people that I like to know stuff right away. But I also have to realize that people don't process their feelings as quickly as I would. But I would have been like, dang, why you didn't tell me that? Why you didn't tell me you felt that way? Like as soon as you felt it. But that probably would have been the only thing where I was just like, what? But as far as Michael just saying what he said and Jasmina not agreeing with it, her not agreeing with it almost sounded to me like she just kind of, she's still in her head about, she admitted it, about what his sister said. And so she kind of got something started with him that maybe didn't necessarily need to happen, all because she was in her head. So that's the thing. You're overthinking it just as much as he's overthinking it. My suggestion to both of them would be to relax, enjoy each other, laugh, okay, get out of your head, have a good time, go into every day thinking like this is the first day of the best marriage that I'm ever going to have, but also knowing, be a little more grounded on Jasmina's end and know that, yeah, there are going to be things that we're not going to agree on. Yeah, we are going to have conflict, but let's pick and choose our battles. And when we don't have to be in disagreement with each other, let's not. And let's just enjoy ourselves. The coffee don't matter. You being an early sleeper and me being a late bed person, that might matter on the long run. But right now, it don't matter. We're on our honeymoon. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's relax. Hell, somebody give me a free trip to Puerto Rico because people are wasting it. Moving on. Alyssa and Chris. Alyssa is very funny. She seems to think that she really did come into the situation with her head on right and expecting, she wake up in the morning talking about, I was expecting to be waking up next to the person that, I want to spend the rest of my life with, my husband. And I just feel, she's talking as if somebody has dealt her a hand that is just so unfair and they've just put her with a horrible person and they just don't care. And she's just been placed in a horrible position, a position that she placed herself in, by the way. I just don't like the way she's talking about it. Like she got put into some type of camp and was forced to get married. Chris wakes up the next day and says that he makes a good point that Alyssa sees disagreement as disrespect and he wasn't trying to disrespect her. And he does hope that they can have a conversation about it because he understands that with marriage, you don't just give up. But some stuff, Chris, you do got to give up though. Some stuff, some situations you do got to give up. But he wants to keep fighting it, but you can't fight it alone is all I'm saying. So Alyssa, you either get right or get gone. Okay, still in the morning after, not much going on with Noy and Steve, except we find out that Noy is not for the great outdoors. She doesn't care about his vagabond life. Ain't gonna be no camping on no beach unless we at the hotel. So you can take her all the travels you want, Steve, but she not doing that tent life with you. Steve looked concerned, but it's not really a big deal. Y'all can still travel. She's just not going to get in that camping tent with you. She sounded very firm about that. And given where wasn't she in some type of camp, like a refugee camp or something? It might have a little to do with her background too. So Steve, maybe just not. Okay. Maybe just not. Now, see, who else did I talk about already? Oh, I guess we can go to Lindsey and Mark. Lindsey and, oh no, let's do Olajuwon and Katina first. Olajuwon and Katina, they wake up the next day talking about his failed cuddle game and the sweat that he apparently has. He has a lot of night sweating going on. I don't know what that means or how severe his problem is, but it must be pretty severe because Katina said he might have to get some Botox shots in his armpits to address his sweating issue. And Olajuwon is just laughing like, child, I'm gonna sweat in this bed is what I'm gonna do. Maybe they can give them a cool select mattress. Anyway, Lindsey and Mark. So first of all, let me say I really like Mark. Mark tells Lindsey that they can go out today and they can drink, but maybe let's not drink so many drinks in one setting, if you will. And Lindsey just kind of looking at him like, what you trying to say? So apparently yesterday she had about 3 bottles of wine, no food, no drink. And that's not going to be something that needs to happen again today. Now, Lindsey says she believes that stuff got out of hand because she was tired, but it probably was more than that. Okay. The wine probably helped. So when they go out and they're having their pina coladas, they talk about their past relationships. Lindsey made some blanket statement about engineers being a bunch of liars and cheaters. That's the one she dated. Not all engineers are that way. I was trying to think if I had ever been out with an engineer. I have, actually. I think 2 of them. Then they move into talking about his past. He described some of his girlfriends. One seemed to have some type of drinking problem and acted out when she did drink. Turned into I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Another he connected with around COVID. They bleeped out what happened to her while she was pregnant. Not by Mark, but he was like, he doesn't understand how people can treat women that way, which made me love him even more. But Lindsey was just like, well, you sound like a people pleaser. And at first I thought she was coming off a little harsh, but once I got her reasoning behind it, when she was just, I think she's extremely blunt. But once I got her reasoning behind it, where she told Mark, I don't want you to try to just be what I want you to be. I want you to be the happiest person you need to be because that makes me happy. Like that's the person that you need to be for me, the person that makes Mark happy. And I appreciated Lindsey for saying that to him because he probably hasn't had anybody in his life that didn't want to take advantage of the emotional stability that he brought, including some of his own family. I love his emotional stability, and it's just nice to get somebody who can appreciate it and yes, can use it to their advantage, but also wants to make sure that he's happy and he's fulfilled and he has what he needs as well. At least it's trending that way so far, but we got a whole lot of episodes to watch. So let's move forward. All right, a lot to unpack here. So Steve and Noi, they are out, and after Noi does her little interview with the producer, she comes over and she lets Steve know that she told them she might be falling in love with him, or she can see herself falling in love with him. And Steve is just like, I feel strongly about you too. Noi, I don't know if ain't nobody told you, you got to let them say that first. And I don't care. I don't care if somebody be like, well, what if he uncomfortable? I don't care. You got to say it first. I'm just one of them girls. I'm not going to say it first. I'm not going to say it. You're going to have to say it first because chances are I fail first, but I'm not going to say it first. I bet you that. I've only done that one time and I regretted it. So anyway, it kind of deflated Noi a little bit. Then I already talked about Lindsey and Mark and their interactions. Olajuwon and Katina went to work out. And during this workout, Olajuwon is being kind of mean. He being kind of like, don't laugh. All right, do it right. Now I'm serious about this now. Come on, you know how to do a burpee? Quit acting. So Katina's just kind of like, okay, calm down. You don't have to be doing all of that. But we find out later that Olajuwon said he was testing her. So I don't know how many more tests Olajuwon has to run, but I don't like the idea of being tested. I just really don't. Jasmine and Michael, oh gosh. When the two of them get on screen now, I'm uncomfortable. They are two good-looking people. They need to relax. And I'm pretty sure they have a lot in common because they're both tense. To me, they're both tense. To me, they both overthink. It amazes me that Jasmina does not believe that she's an overthinker. She's overthinking about what was told to her about Michael. She's overthinking now about everything he's telling her, and he's just an overthinker in general, but he's just very aware of it. He's talking about how he grew up, because she does ask him what may have turned him into an overthinker. And when he describes the amount of loss he had in his life, Jasmina turns around and says, I can understand how you feel that way, but let me tell you something. Don't ask me how I feel about a situation. Don't ask me how I came to a certain place and then turn around and say, but this is what I think you should feel, or this is how I see it. I don't care how you see it. You asked me how I felt, and I'm telling you. I don't know why I'm yelling, y'all, but I'm just saying. I just didn't like it. It annoyed me that she was doing that. Michael just says that he can have fun. He knows how to be a fun guy. It seems like he does know how to have a good time. But he just seems to maybe not necessarily live in the moment all the time. And kind of, Michael wants to make sure he's not making the same mistakes he's made in previous relationships by not caring, but maybe in doing so, he is possibly sucking the fun out of it. I'm saying possibly because I'm really not sure if that's what's happening, but I think that's what he's thinking in his head. But I don't think Jasmina is doing unless the camera isn't showing it, I don't think she's doing anything to add to the fun. Her face is always looking like she is thinking, and in her head as well. And then to ask somebody to explain what happened to them and try to put a spin on it of how he should think, to me, that's just not okay. As long as he's not suicidal and constantly bringing you down, I don't know. Like, what I probably would have done, like, even as he was talking, I could probably imagine myself probably holding his hand as he was talking about his loss. I probably would have tried to give him a hug. I don't even know if he's a hugger, but I probably would have done that. I may have said to him, I understand when you experience loss like that, it can have you looking at all of the bad things that can happen in life. And I just hope as we grow together that, we both can start to see the good and loosen up and, just live life, because we know, just based on what you've been through, tomorrow isn't promised. And I just hope that as we grow together, that we'll learn that together in our marriage. Something that made it sound like it was a me and you thing and not necessarily you need to change that thing. I don't know, y'all. Like I said, I ain't been married. So I might be thinking about this totally wrong. And I want married people always to sound off because y'all have actually been there. But it's just something about it that's a little off. Now, when they go to the boats, when they go to the island and the girls have their private time and the guys have their time, the guys are just expressing what's been going on. Steve says he told her, I ain't, you're in love with me, but you might be falling in love, but I'm not there yet. It ain't been long enough for me. And Elijah Wan, I'm trying to think. Oh, that's when he reveals that he was testing Katina. Then we have Mark the Shark, who says that sometimes he's a little worried about having to reel Lindsey in, because if I got to do that all the time, that's going to be something that's very hard for me. We also do find out they consummated their marriage. And, now Mark, don't be trying to pull back after you already done gave up the goods now. You should have kept it to yourself. But they have consummated, and Lindsey even says that that's the one for her. They like peas and carrots. That's the one. That's her love. She loved him. But she hasn't told him yet. Noy was like, did you tell him? And she was like, girl, no. I said, Noy, see, you should have got with her before you was going around telling. And Michael just asks for advice on how you can just kind of not create problems that aren't there. See, that's what I'm saying. He is just so overly concerned about messing it up. He gonna mess it up. It's funny because I've done that before. Like, I don't want to mess it up. So let me see how I can, F it up real quick. Then we get back on the boat with the girls. I did forget to mention that Alyssa and Chris went paddleboarding. I don't think it's doing anything to save their relationship, but at least they laughed at each other a little bit. And she did reveal that she went to a psychic, and whoever her soulmate is going to have some type of needle tattoo. Chris just laughed and thought it was silly because it is. I'm not trying to discredit every psychic out there, but girl, if you went to a psychic, you shouldn't have went on Married at First Sight. Did she say you was going to be on a show? Okay, then you should have stayed your butt at home and waited on that needle tattoo. But anyway, the girls are on the boat. And after Lindsey reveals her love situation, she starts somehow they started talking about what had happened, right? What had happened. And she talks about how she had an ex who used to drink and it triggered something in her. So Katina is like, no, you do realize you put yourself in that triggering situation, don't you? And she was just like, well, that's your perception. It's three versions. It's my truth and his truth and your. No, it ain't really three versions because everybody was there. It's a whole bunch of versions. So Katina gets up to calm herself down. Alyssa comes after her, which was interesting to me because I was like, I would have thought, Jasmine, y'all know how I am about the black girl magic, though. You know, I would have been like, let me go get my girl. But Jasmine was just sitting over there looking at the ground, uncomfortable, like she was about to cry. Maybe she's not good with conflict. So Katina comes back and I noticed that Katina's hand was shaking. Could y'all see her hand shaking when she was talking to Lindsey? But when she was talking to her, you could tell she was amped up, you know, and I don't even think it was an alcohol amped up. I was thinking it was you're not going to sit here and play the victim amped up. So she tells her about herself, says she put herself in that situation. I don't care if you was 2, 4, 6, 8. When somebody triggered you, you are too old to be going around acting like that. You just kept on jumping up. And if you do have some issues that are triggering you, you're 34, 35 years old, handle that and then come back from a healed place and act like you got some sense. So Katina had to get up and walk off again when Lindsey is just like, that was rude. No, you're rude. I'm telling you because you were being rude. And she said something about being on the show. Katina was like, oh, girl, I don't care about no show. I like Katina. I don't know if it's her voice or the way she says things, but she's just funny to me. I think it's her voice. And she gets up and she has to leave yet again because she just can't deal with her. I do think Lindsey was not taking accountability for how she was acting. Don't apologize to Olajuwon and then get in there and talk about some ex you had that was triggering you. No, ma'am. I think you was turned up. I wish they would have showed it, but I think you was turned up. I think you was doing the most. I think you was acting like you was ready to fight because even Mark the Shark is acting like it was something that he ain't gonna be able to take from you too often. So I think you were a little bit more turned up than what you are describing. And then also during the boat trip, Alyssa says that her and Chris might be moving on, and by moving on, she means to someone else. We don't like her, do we? I think I can go ahead and say that. Oh my goodness, this show. I want you guys, shout out to everybody who's been reviewing this show. It takes up so much of your time. I feel like I've been sitting here for 4 hours. All right. So, I'm not complaining though. I love y'all. Where do we leave off? Steve and Noy are still getting comfy and close once they get back from the boat trip. They did end up playing Never Have I Ever. I hate that game. I call it the judgmental game because all everybody does is lie. They never put their finger down. They wait for you to put your finger down so they can judge you and ask you questions. And then I got to get up and leave because y'all not finna get all in my business. See, I didn't judge y'all when y'all had to put y'all finger down, but like they ended up talking about the cheating question because both of them cheated. Let me tell you something. If your cheating has the word teen at the end of it, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. Whatever you did as a child was what you did as a child. I don't want to talk about your cheating as a teen, but they talked about it. Steve and Noy. Katina and Olajuwon end up talking about his whole threesome conversation. He also had a Never Have I Ever that he put on himself. He brought it up himself, y'all, where he was talking about, how he had sex with a mother and a daughter. And he calls that sexual old side of him Isaac. And Isaac is gone now. But Katina is still concerned about Isaac and the role that Isaac could play possibly in their relationship. He says that he has changed, but she just has to make sure that that is the behavior that he's going to be exuding. He says all the right things when it comes to Katina and his commitment to the marriage. He jokes around about a threesome. Katina says she definitely did not like that. It's not happening because it usually brings in mess. And Olajuwon says he's cool with it. Sometimes I think even though Katina is a jokester herself, I think she even thinks that Olajuwon at times plays too doggone much for her. And it might have been another test too, just to see what she was going to say. Alyssa and Chris, he tries to plan another fun activity. It's like scuba diving and snorkeling at the same time. Alyssa doesn't want to do that. She again goes on her woe is me tangent, talking about her mom is mad at her and everybody else has somebody and they get along. And my mom's telling me don't come off like that on TV. And I have literally been the nicest person. We're not going to keep saying the word literally in front of things that aren't literally happening. You have not been the nicest person, Alyssa. And I don't know, like, maybe when she see herself in the playback, she'll understand. This person that you're with is trying his best to plan activities, trying his best to be entertaining for you. This is why the show stresses me out every time I review it, because it's hard for me to sit and watch a person get rejected episode after episode, and the person doing it acting as if they've been put in a bad situation. And I'm guessing it's because you can't leave once you're on, but it's embarrassing. And it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch that happening to somebody. And then y'all got to keep filming together. Like, I'd rather fake it. I'd rather fake it and say no on decision day, even though I know that's mean too. But then to act like this, then to look like this, the way she's looking. She's crying and telling him, please tell them I don't want him to come over here. Don't let him come over here. Like, who, baby, I might skip over her next week because I'm not. Then Jasmine and Michael, they got work to do. They got a lot of work to do. When they end up going to dinner, they rehash the conversation that they had earlier in the episode off camera, where Michael approached her and said, you cut me off on the boat when we were talking about had we consummated our marriage. And he doesn't remember. I mean, she is saying that she doesn't remember cutting him off on the boat, which they played it back. She didn't cut him off. But that's how he remembered it in his head, and said that she needed to apologize. But he said that Jasmina said that his tone was aggressive and abrasive, and she does not tolerate anybody disrespecting her. So when they go to dinner, they bring it back up. Jasmina was just like, my apology was enough. She felt like her apology was enough, because she said, if I made you feel that way. And to him, if I made you feel that way is not a real apology. Now, to most people, I'm sorry if you felt that way is not a real apology. That's true. That is a true statement. Jasmina says that if he were to give that same apology, she would be fine with it, because people say that all the time. And he's like, but you're not married to people, though. You married to me. I got both of their points. Jasmina's point was, I didn't cut you off, so it's hard for me to apologize for something I didn't do. I'm not saying it the way that you want me to say it, because I don't feel like I did that. To his point is, don't bring up people and how they might accept an apology. We're talking about me, and that tone or that wording doesn't work for me. So I understood what both of them were saying about the apology. Michael says that he does accept her apology no matter how it was worded. He also says that he apologizes for being abrasive towards her, because she did stress that was a huge problem for her, and that's understandable. He says that that's something he's been working on in past relationships. His sisters have even told him. She still looks bothered by it. I kind of wish they would have hugged it out. Like, I don't know. Like, I like them. I think they have great qualities. it's just so tense. And it's not just Michael. It's both of them. And I just want, like, I don't know. Like, I know they're going to have conflict. I just hope they don't let this hinder them. But if you are being abrasive, Michael, definitely that does have to stop. That doesn't work for a relationship. And Jasmina, like, I don't know, baby, just pick and choose your battles. Like, I don't know what else to say but that. I probably would have been annoyed too. Like, what are you talking about, child? I didn't cut him off. I cut him off. When? And then I don't know, because I have had times like when I'm in it, and it is hard for me to apologize for something I know I didn't do. But I have had to swallow my pride and apologize just for the sake of not arguing. I will say this, because you guys are in the beginning stages, I understand you wanting to set your boundaries strong and keep them, especially if he came at you a certain type of way. What I probably would have said was, I'm sorry if the wording wasn't enough for you. Like, if it felt like I was being flippant, but I don't want you to feel that way. So if you really are feeling bad about it, I'm sorry. I just want us to move forward. Okay. I just want us to move forward. That's all. I don't know. I don't know if there was a right way to say it. I just want them to get past it. That's all. Because it just seems like the two things that have tripped them up have been so trivial based on what it could be. You know what I'm saying? Based on what we've seen some people go at it about. So I just want some old, like, where the hugs at? Like, I would have been giving him a hug. Child, I'm sorry. I think I'm caught up in all that body that Michael got. So, I'd probably jump on his back. Yeah, so I hope they figure that out, but they just got work to do. They got work to do. It's very tense, though. Lastly, Lindsey and Mark. Mark says he wants to pull it back and not be lovey-dovey so soon. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know how it worked for men, but I'm going to tell you how it worked for women. Don't put that D on me if you don't want to be lovey-dovey. And I'll tell that to anybody. Don't put it on me if you don't want to marry me. And since we already married, don't put it on me if you ain't trying to be in love. I'm serious. That's why I don't have casual sex. I can't handle it. So I get where Lindsey was coming from. I get where Lindsey was just like, okay, so you don't want to be lovey-dovey. So if I pull back, I'm going to pull all the way back. There's no in between with me, especially that you already got this nookie. Mark says, okay, well, I mean, I'm not saying you got to do that, but like, can you just dial it down? I don't know what that means. Like, that would be hard. Like, what do you mean? Like, hand holding, but no cuddling? Like, I just, maybe I'm too specific, but that would have confused me. It really would have. Lindsey was frustrated. Lindsey says, don't take me to a romantic dinner to tell me you don't want to be romantic, basically. And she was just like, we can start this all the way from the beginning. Now, I do realize that Lindsey might have took it to another place because she was upset. But Mark, it was confusing the way that you were talking. I was confused, but I kind of get where it's coming from, though, because I'm sitting down watching the show. When you and Lindsey are together, you love your interactions with her. You love the way that y'all deal with each other. But when you see Lindsey deal with others and she puts you in a position to deal with others, it turns you off. So it really has a lot to do with how she behaves and how she speaks in public situations and how it makes you feel when you guys get together privately. I think that's what I'm gathering from you. I don't know if you did so well explaining it at the table, but that's what it sounds like. I don't know how you're going to get Lindsey to realize that, though, because it is a problem. It is a problem, but I'm not really 100% sure how you're going to get her to realize it. You might have to write her a letter. I don't know. Good luck, bruh. All right, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought. I feel like this review was horrible. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all for the next one. Okay? Bye.